After cooking for 14 hours for my in-laws' anniversary, they called me to the table and said, "We ordered real food. You can take this slop to the trash." My husband said, "They're just being honest. You're not a chef." I smiled and replied, "Enjoy your night." By morning, the entire neighborhood was talking about what I served them. I didn't grow up with much. I'm not saying that to make you feel bad for me, just so you understand where I'm coming from. My mom was a single parent. She worked nights at a packaging plant and was too tired most days to cook. We lived off frozen meals, cheap cereal, whatever we could scrape together. The only reason I knew what a home-cooked meal was supposed to feel like was because of my grandma. She'd take the bus to come see us once a week. She always had something hot in a worn-out Tupperware. Chicken dumplings, black-eyed peas, sweet potato pie. She'd set the food on our scratched-up kitchen table like it was a gift.
And it was.
She taught me how to cook little by little. I was maybe 9 when she first let me stir a pot. I learned not from recipes but from feel. A pinch of this, a slow stir here. Cooking was her way of loving us. It was the only time our little apartment felt warm. I carried that into adulthood. When I met Marcus, I was 27. He was 32. He worked in finance, had a decent car, owned a condo. He talked about summering in Nantucket and how his parents had a place outside the city that they only used for garden parties. That world wasn't mine, but he seemed kind, and I liked how calm he was. I didn't meet his parents until almost a year into dating. They invited us over for brunch. I remember standing at their front door with a tray of cinnamon rolls I'd baked from scratch. Orange zest in the dough, cream cheese glaze, everything. His mom opened the door, looked at the tray, smiled without showing teeth, and said, "Oh, how thoughtful." She took it and walked away. We sat at a long table with white chairs and gold-rimmed glasses. His dad asked me where I went to school. I said community college culinary program. He nodded and said, vocational. Then changed the subject. After that visit, I told Marcus I didn't think they liked me. He told me not to worry, that they were just formal. I wanted to believe him.
So I tried.
I really tried. Every family dinner, I'd offer to bring something. I made peach cobbler one Thanksgiving. His sister asked me if it was from a box. I made stuffed mushrooms for 4th of July barbecue. His dad told me they were a bit earthy for his palate. Once, I made chicken soup when his mom was sick. She said, "Oh, I don't eat poultry that isn't organic." They never invited me to help. They never thanked me. Marcus would shrug and say, "They're just not expressive. Don't take it personal." But I did, because every dish I made was a piece of myself, and they acted like it was nothing. Still, I kept cooking. It's what I know how to do. And deep down, I wanted them to see me, not just the girl Marcus picked, but someone who could bring value. Someone who gave something from the heart. So when they asked me to cook for their 40th wedding anniversary, I thought maybe I'd finally earned a spot. They were throwing a big party at their estate house. The one with the koi pond and the glass atrium.
60 guests.
Formal dress code. String quartet. They said they were too tired to hire a caterer and figured I might enjoy the creative opportunity. I should have seen it for what it was. Free labor. But I said yes. I planned for weeks. Went over the menu again and again. Rented equipment. Asked a baker friend to help with the dessert. I took 2 days off work. Brought all my gear to their kitchen the night before. Started cooking at 5 a.m. Sharp on the day of the party. Their kitchen was huge, marble countertops, 2 ovens, 6-burner stove. But no one offered help. Not even Marcus. He went off to golf with his dad that morning. I braised beef ribs in red wine for 5 hours. I roasted lemon herb chicken thighs until the skin crisped just right. I made garlic mashed potatoes with roasted garlic I'd slow-baked the night before. Grilled vegetables in balsamic glaze. Wild mushroom risotto. I had fresh rolls rising. For dessert, lavender panna cotta in little glass jars. Lemon tarts. A 3-layer chocolate cake with whipped ganache and edible flowers. I labeled every dish with cards I'd printed myself. I even typed up a little menu and set it on the buffet. I kept thinking, this is it.
They'll see.
They'll taste it. By 6 p.m., everything was set up. People started arriving in fancy shoes and linen jackets. I stayed in the kitchen, wiping down counters, going over final touches. I didn't want to be in the way. Then I heard Marcus's mom call my name. I walked out to the dining area, expecting her to ask about serving order. She looked around at the table and said, loud enough for half the guests to hear, "Okay, we're ready for dinner now. The real food's coming in a few minutes, so you can go ahead and take this slop to the trash." I froze. I didn't understand at first. I thought maybe she was joking. But no one laughed. Marcus was standing nearby with a drink. I looked at him. He didn't say a word, just sipped his whiskey and said, "They're just being honest, babe. You're not a chef." That's when something in me went quiet. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just nodded. Said, "Enjoy your night." Then I grabbed my coat, picked up my bag, and left. What they didn't know was that I had a backup plan. Every dish I made had a duplicate. I'd prepped 2 batches of everything.
One for their party.
One for someone else. That morning, while the ribs were finishing in the oven, I drove to a women's shelter about 20 minutes away. Dropped off trays of food. Labeled
Warm.
I included the menu and a note. Prepared with care by my name, who believes everyone deserves to be fed with dignity. The staff thanked me. One of the women hugged me. I left quietly. The next morning, my phone had 33 missed calls, voicemails, texts, Facebook messages. Even Marcus messaged me saying, "We need to talk." Turns out, several of their guests didn't eat. Some thought it was an art piece. Others left when they realized the hosts didn't acknowledge the cook. One woman posted in a local community group asking if the family really passed off donated food from a soup kitchen. Another guest corrected her, said it was some of the best food they'd ever had, and that the shelter chef was actually the daughter-in-law. The shelter posted a thank you.
Tagged me.
So did the bakery that helped with the cake. One of the guests who runs a food blog wrote a full post praising the meal and calling out the cruelty of privilege.
It spread.
People started talking. And I didn't respond to a single call. Not even Marcus's. Because for the first time, I didn't want them to see what I could do. I wanted them to sit in the silence of what they lost. For 3 days, I didn't answer anyone. I turned off my phone and stayed with my friend Callie, the one who runs the bakery. She let me sleep on her couch and fed me lemon scones and chamomile tea like I was a wounded animal. I was. My whole body hurt, but not from cooking, from the way he looked at me when his mother called my food slop. Like I was some problem he needed to manage. He didn't even defend me. By the 4th day, I turned my phone back on. There were more messages. From Marcus, his sister, even his mother. Though hers just said, "Call me. This has gone too far." Too far? I scrolled through the local Facebook groups. Screenshots everywhere. Someone had posted side-by-side photos of the plated food from the party and the meals served at the shelter. Same plating, same dishes. Someone else shared my note from the shelter and asked, why was this woman treated like trash for giving them gourmet food for free? People were angry. Not just at the family, but at Marcus too. Turns out, he'd bragged online in a work group about the party, calling it a curated dining experience prepared by a private family chef. He called me a chef when it made him look good. But not to my face. On day 6, Marcus showed up at Callie's bakery. I was helping her pipe buttercream in the back when I heard the bell ring and her voice say, "She's not here."
But I walked out anyway.
He looked tired, like he hadn't slept. Said he was sorry. Said he didn't think it would blow up like this. He wanted me to come home and explain things to his parents. He said they were getting hate mail, that his mom hadn't left the house. I asked him what exactly he wanted me to explain. He said, "You didn't need to humiliate them." That's when I laughed. I didn't mean to. It just came out, sharp and bitter. I told him I never humiliated them.
They did that to themselves.
He said I needed to fix it. That his family's reputation was imploding because I overreacted. That people at his firm were whispering about it. He even said I weaponized charity. Weaponized charity. I told him I wasn't coming back.
Not yet.
Not until I felt like myself again.
He left angry.
Said, "Don't make this a bigger deal than it has to be." But it already was. Later that night, I got a DM from someone I didn't know. A woman named Ray. She said she used to work for Marcus's parents as a housekeeper. She saw the story online and wanted to say she believed me.
Said they treated her the same way. Cold.
Dismissive. Called her the help to her face. Doctor pay for minor things. She said she once made a simple stew for them when the caterer canceled, and his mom threw it in the sink and told her to never presume her food was acceptable. I asked her if she'd be willing to say that publicly.
She said she was thinking about it.
3 days later, Ray shared her story. She posted a long comment under one of the viral threads, explaining how she was treated. Others started chiming in. A florist who worked their holiday parties. A musician who played at one of their galas. Suddenly, it wasn't just about my food. It was about who they were and how they treated people they thought were beneath them. Marcus's mom posted a statement. A cold, tight-lipped apology full of phrases like misunderstood intentions and regret if any offense was taken. She didn't say my name once. Someone commented, "You didn't forget her name when you told her to throw her food in the trash." Marcus called again. Left a voicemail this time. Said he needed me to be smart about this, because things were getting out of control. I deleted the message. A week later, I got a letter. A legal letter. From their family lawyer. It said I had publicly defamed a private event, and that my note to the shelter misled the public into believing the food was donated rather than provided for a private function. They accused me of damaging their reputation with intent. They were threatening to sue. That's when I knew this wasn't just a family fight. This was war. And I wasn't going to let them rewrite the story.
Not this time.
After I got the legal letter, I sat on it for a few days. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I just felt cold, like something had shut off in me.
Marcus didn't call again after that. Not even a text. But his sister, Diane, did.
She messaged me on Instagram, of all places, and said, "I'm not involved in this lawsuit, just so you know. But you made Mom cry. That should mean something." It didn't. That weekend, I met with a lawyer. I used the savings I'd been putting away for culinary school. Money I'd never told Marcus about because he always said school was a waste of time if I wasn't aiming to be on TV or run a restaurant. The lawyer, Alan, was gentle but firm. He said I hadn't done anything illegal. I didn't defame anyone, I didn't mention them by name. I donated food I cooked. I shared my truth. He told me to hold tight, not post anything else, and to keep records of everything. So, I did. But then something strange happened. The shelter director, Rosa, called me one morning and said a man came by asking for a list of who'd eaten the food I dropped off that night. He said he was from the health department but didn't have a badge or any paperwork. He wore a press shirt and gold watch. She asked him to leave. He got angry and said he'd make sure the shelter paid for letting unlicensed food handlers through their doors. That's when I knew they were trying to scare me quiet. I told Alan.
He documented it.
Said if they were sending people to intimidate a shelter, it would backfire. A few days later, Callie, my baker friend, got a health inspection. Out of nowhere. The inspector looked through every shelf, every drawer, took photos of her freezers. Found nothing wrong but still made her throw out $600 worth of ingredients for labeling inconsistencies. She didn't say it out loud, but we both knew who was behind it. I felt guilty. I told her I'd back down. That I'd make a post clearing things up. She shook her head and said, "No. Now I'm in this too. And I'm not afraid of rich people with thin skin." Callie's not soft like me. She's been through worse. She grew up in foster care. She built her business from scratch. That same week, something else came out. A former employee of Marcus's dad leaked an old email. It had nothing to do with me, but it showed him mocking a disabled intern in a group thread. It got shared around LinkedIn. Suddenly, their family's reputation wasn't just shaky, it was cracked wide open. And here's the part one didn't see coming. An editor from a local magazine reached out to me. Not a gossip site, a real publication. She said she wanted to do a profile. Not about the scandal, but about women in the city using food to build community. She said, I think people would like to hear your side. Not the drama. Just who you are. I didn't say yes right away. I was scared. I didn't want to be a face for anything. I just wanted to cook and be left alone.
But then she said something that stuck with me.
You've already told your story. They're just mad people listened.
So I said yes.
We met at the shelter. I cooked while we talked. I made a big batch of lentil stew, cornbread, and a beet salad with feta. The women there helped me stir, plate, serve. They laughed. They asked for seconds. The editor sat and watched. Took notes. She ran the story 2 weeks later.
No fluff. Just my story.
My background. What food means to me. No names mentioned.
No rivenyangel.
Just the truth. And that's when something else happened. Something I never expected. Marcus's other sister, Jo, the youngest, messaged me. We'd barely spoken in all the years I'd known their family. She lived in Chicago, worked in healthcare, stayed out of the family drama. She said she read the article. She apologized. She said she wasn't surprised. Then she said, there's a reason I moved halfway across the country and never came back. They broke things in me too. I sat on the floor and cried after reading that. Not because it made it better, but because someone in their blood finally admitted what I knew all along. It wasn't just me. It was them. And I wasn't done. Not yet. After the article came out, things moved fast. I didn't go looking for more drama, but it found them anyway. The magazine piece got shared on a national food blog. Then a few bigger accounts on Instagram picked it up. Suddenly people who didn't even know me were tagging the shelter, tagging Callie's bakery, asking about the recipes. Someone messaged me asking if I'd teach a class. Meanwhile, Marcus's parents were unraveling. They tried to sue, but my lawyer shut that down fast. He sent them a calm, sharp letter outlining every threat, every shady move, every intimidation attempt, including the fake health department visit. He attached testimonies from shelter staff, Callie's health inspection report, even screenshots of Marcus's dad's leaked email. They went quiet after that. But by then, the damage was already done. Marcus's dad was asked to step down from the board of a nonprofit he'd chaired for over a decade. A donor pulled out. His company kept him, but he was moved into a consultant role, basically boxed out. People who used to pretend not to see how they treated others couldn't look away anymore. His mom canceled all her upcoming events. Word was, no one wanted to be seen at her garden parties. Even the florist she always hired said no when she tried to rebook. They started ordering in. No more dinner guests. Just silence in that big empty house. And Marcus? He tried to play both sides. First he begged me to come home. Then he blamed me for tearing his family apart. Said I was being emotional. Said I used my trauma for attention. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sent him a photo of the divorce papers. He didn't sign them at first. Tried to stall. Said he needed time to process. But when he realized I had proof of everything, texts, emails, voice messages, he folded. I didn't take money from him. I didn't want it. All I asked for was my share of the condo. I sold it and used every cent to open something small. Not a restaurant. Not a bakery. A kitchen. A warm space with long wooden tables, white walls, and soft lights. I called it Second Table. I host community dinners twice a week. Some nights it's for single moms, some nights for immigrant families, some nights it's just anyone who's lonely and needs a seat. I cook. I teach. I listen. People pass plates and stories. I make sure everyone has a second helping. Callie bakes for us now and then. Rosa from the shelter helps me with outreach. Even Jo, Marcus's youngest sister, flew in from Chicago and helped repaint the place one weekend. The article that started it all still hangs by the door. Not framed fancy, just pinned there with a magnet. A reminder. A few months after I opened, a man walked in wearing a pressed coat and a sad smile. It was Marcus. He looked around, saw the people eating, the music,
The peace.
He said. I didn't think you'd actually go through with all of this. I nodded and said, I know. He asked, do you hate me? I looked at him. I really looked, and I said, no, but I don't trust you, and I don't miss you. He didn't argue, just stood there for a second like he wanted to say something else. Then he walked out. He hasn't come back since. Now and then, I still hear whispers about his parents. They sold the garden house, moved to Florida. I guess it's quieter there. No one talks about their anniversary anymore. But every now and then, someone brings it up. Like the old man who came last week and said, weren't you the one who cooked that amazing party meal the rich folks threw out? I just smile and say, yeah, that was me. Then I pass him a plate, because they threw it away, but I turn it into something. And I'll never let anyone make me feel small again. That was their last supper. This is my table now, and it's full.